The Meeples and Miniatures podcast is sponsored by Two Fat Lardies, Miniature Wargames with Battle Games magazine, and also by the generous donations of you, the listener. A big shout out to David Jackhausen, Glenn Oberhauser, Tom Privatera, Keith Erickson, and Alex McIntosh. Guys, thank you so much for your support. Your donations help make this show possible. The Meeples and Miniatures podcast, episode 163. The long-awaited Sales of Glory show. Yay! With Neil Shuck, Mike Hobbs, and Mike Whitaker. Hello and welcome to another episode of the Meeples and Miniatures podcast. I'm Neil Shuck, and this evening I am joined once again by...
Come on, what stupid name are you going to give me this week? Come on, Mr. S. Come on, what is it?
It's Mike Spoiler Hobbs.
Mike Spoiler.
I will take that one.
Yes. And the unbearded wonder, Mr. Mike Whitaker.
Good evening.
Good evening. Yes, as far as that name is concerned, we'll have to explain at some point. So is it true then? Are you actually going to take that job?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, so the unbearded warder, because Mike is going to become a cricket scorer at his local cricket club.
Well, he's going to become webmaster at his local cricket club and probably person who chases everyone else for match scorecards.
Oh, right, so you're not doing...
To start with.
Oh, right, so you're not doing the cricket score then?
I will offer to score when my eyes recover enough that I can actually see the ball.
Oh,
yeah, because that could be really, really embarrassing. Yeah, everyone's cheering and you're going, what's happened there?
Well, I used to score when I worked for Cricinfo, so I am a pretty reasonable scorer.
Oh, right, so were you one of these people that kept, watching the text updates?
Hell yeah.
Oh, cool. Well, how long ago was that then?
Oh, dear Lord. The West Indies tour that Steve Harmison took, heaven knows how many, for next to nothing. That was me doing the text commentary for all the evening sessions.
Cool.
It was a fun job till they decided that they could source it better in India. What can you do?
And for those of us who've just joined, welcome to Meeples and Wickets, the new cricket come wargaming podcast.
I say, Hobbsy, is that a pigeon over Neil's head?
That's a rather splendid green bus in the background. I'm not wearing yellow trousers.
Thank God for that.
I've got no idea what you two are talking about. It's like another language, it really is. These blokes and their nerdy hobbies.
Ah, dear me. Yes, indeed. Yes, if you thought wargaming was obscure. So, were you actually out in the West Indies?
Oh, gosh, no. Dear Lord, no. Dear Lord, no. Scoring off TV.
I was going to say, you're just watching it on Sky.
Yep.
Yes.
Not the best kept secret ever.
Well, no. No, I could well imagine it was just the fact that if he actually shipped you out there, to do it, that would have been cool. But hey, I know. We digress. Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the show. As you said, this evening we are going to be later on. We have the long-awaited, often postponed review of Sales of Glory, which, if you'd listened to our previous show, you will know was Mike's Game of the Year last year. But of course, you wouldn't have picked that up at all on Twitter before you heard this show because nobody saw that at all.
No chance of any spoilers here.
Oh, heck no.
Indeed not. No. So there we go. So we're going to be doing that. But as you said, this year we're going to be doing a few extra bits and pieces. Trying to be a little bit more organised.
It's going well so far.
It's going right, yeah. Trying to be a bit more organised and spend the first 5 minutes talking about cricket commentary. Yeah, okay. Hey ho, never mind. Right, so we've got various different segments coming up. As long as Mr. Whitaker has sorted out the introduction music.
He's working on it.
He's working on it. Marvellous.
First two are lovely. Very impressed.
They need a bit of rework, but they're there.
I think we've been dilly-dallying around so much, so on with the show.
I must get through to Sergeant Watson's position. Jenkins, cover me.
Sir.
Whoa. Sergeant Watson, bring your men in. Withdraw.
It's all right, sir. We're enjoying ourselves.
What?
Yes, sir. It's these here chain of command rules, sir. We're having great fun.
Chain of command?
That's right, sir. It's a challenging but fun blend of command and control. It gives me the freedom I want to fight the way I want to. Never had so much fun, sir. And we've cooked you some sausages. Can't be helped, sir. Me and the lads are staying put.
Chain of command, World War II, platoon level rules from two fat laddies. They really put you in control. And they're even better than sausages.
What have we been playing? What have we been buying? We might even have painted something. The Meeples and Miniatures crew reveal all.
Okay, so we're going to have a quick chat about what we've been up to since well, I suppose it's since New Year, really, since that's when we recorded the last show. So, Mr. Whitaker, what have you been up to? Anything?
So, what have I been doing? Getting re-elected as chairman of Peterborough War Games Club?
Huzzah!
Hooray! The system works.
Yeah, hang on. So you managed to get re-elected even after my after-dinner speech?
Yes.
Good grief.
Indeed, yes. So, yeah, that's about it since we last spoke, I think. Since have not had the club's total wargaming activity has consisted of an AGM, and probably by the time you hear this, a scenery audit, which is about it, really. Oh, and I've bought some more Mantic Elves.
A scenery audit?
You're going to have to come to our club, aren't you?
Okay.
We have 3 floor-to-ceiling cupboards full of scenery.
Ah, right.
If we don't keep track of it, we never know what needs fixing.
Fair enough. All right.
So, and I said, and I bought some more Mantic Elves, so I've got probably about 2,500 points worth of elves to paint at some point.
Yes, because one can never have enough elves.
Indeed not.
Indeed. Right. Okay. How about you, Mr. Hobbs?
I've been continuing with my selling of stuff. I've almost got rid of all of my old 40k stuff, which I bought my old unpainted 40k stuff. That's all gone.
Oh, cool.
I've actually cleared off shelves, and I've now started going through stuff that I've painted, which I know I'm never ever going to use, and selling that off as well. Which is quite good because my club dues are due as well, so I had to pay them today.
Oh, right.
So what with buying more boxes and packing material, my selling has now reached a whole profit of £7.
Excellent.
But I've got my yearly subs done, so that's free gaming for the next year down Firestorm. Huzzah. I've been playing Sword and Spear. I've had 2 games in a week. Won one, lost one, which has been fun.
So you've been blooding your newly painted 50mm armies in? Yeah,
my Persians and my Greeks. Yeah, been doing that. So yeah, I played Stuart from Great Escape Games yesterday as we're recording this. It was a really, really tense game. About 3 hours we were playing there. Yeah, we both basically dissolved in the last turn, but I dissolved faster than he did.
Oh.
Which was annoying, but a great little game. So doing that, getting ready for the next round of Sword and Spear playtesting for the fantasy version, because we got the next version of that out now, so we'll be doing lots of that.
Oh, cool.
That's about it, really. That's all. Oh, I bought some Blake 7 buggies, which are lovely.
Blake 7 buggies?
Yeah, John from Honesty Castings.
Yeah.
Who's Dags on a couple of forums. He just put a picture up saying, "Oh, I made these and I'm selling them." And they're 2 little buggies, like the banana split buggies, 6-wheel things.
Oh yeah. And
he's converted them and done them with the 7TV crooked dice, Blake 7-esque, shall we say, heads.
Right.
And he said, "Oh, I got these, 35 quid. Who wants some?" And I went, "I'm having them." So it's 2 buggies and a little troop transporter, which he's converted.
Oh, cool.
And it's lovely. So they arrived today. Which is now means I'm now repainting Blake 7 again.
What, this project that you were doing,
Yeah, about a year and a half ago. Yeah, so you might get the next episode of that that blog post fairly
right.
soon.
Yeah, yes, I remember that. Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
Which we can entitle "Going Back to Projects That You've Forgotten About."
Oh God, I can beat that. You wait till my turn. I can beat that and then some.
I'm all done. So your turn.
My turn. Right. Okay. So what's happened? What's happened since we last recorded? Well, I suppose first off, the blog hit 1 million views, which was a real shocker. I knew I was kind of getting close, to be honest, in the background, so I kind of been monitoring it, and because I noticed we were getting quite close, and then worked it out a month ago to say, oh, that's going to be happening around about the new year-ish. So I thought I'd just keep an eye on it. But yes, on at 9:45 on the Sunday, the 3rd of January, 9:45 in the evening, we had our 1 millionth view on the blog, which is astounding. So thank you to everybody who's visited the blog. 1 million. Cool. Anyway, so onwards and onwards. So that.
If I might interject at this point, I was reminded by that to go and look at my blog.
Yeah.
Which, as we record, is at 499,916 page views.
Whoa! It's getting close.
I expect it, given my lamentable current level of posting, I expect it to arrive sometime today or tomorrow.
Cool. Good stuff, mate. So half a million page views for Mr. Whitaker.
Shy 84 at the moment.
Yeah. Good stuff. Excellent stuff. So there you go. And as I hinted at, as far as forgotten projects is concerned, I then looked back and went, so what was I blogging back when I first started in February 2008? And within the first 4 or 5 blog entries, I talked about 3 armies, which was 20 mil plastic Republican Romans for commanding colours, 15 mil samurai who were meant to be doing a hot campaign at the club I was in at the time, as in hordes of the things. We were doing fantasy samurai, and 6 mil Bacchus French. Passing quickly on.
How are they doing painting-wise?
Well, I found the box with the plastic figures in, Romans in, when I was doing a Swords Out earlier in the year. I found some of the samurai figures, and the French have got no further painting than what I blogged at the end of February. So I actually got one, essentially 4 strips of French infantry painted, and that's all I've ever done on them.
Well, it's a start, that's the way to look at it.
Yeah, this is it. I mean, these things take a while to mature, I think.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, luckily you took notes of the colours you used on those French, so you can go back any time and match it all in.
Yeah, it's only 6. Yeah, it's only 6 mil, mate.
And also, here is one of the very compelling reasons for buying the appropriate Vallejo colour set and just using it.
Indeed. So that wasn't. Didn't exactly cover myself in glory when I looked back and went, so what was I doing? Oh no, okay, yeah, let's not be reminded of that. And especially since I've just been blogging today about, not been blogging. I was chatting to, texting Mr. Hobbs today and going, oh right, we were looking at some of the new stuff that's coming out for Blucher, and obviously the Peninsular War box set came out before end of last year stuff, and I suddenly went, Oh, so I might not actually need to paint any Napoleonic figures for like the medium term sort of thing. Thinking in the background, we've got all these I've got a huge 6mm French army, sat in a box.
I was going to say, yeah, you got lots of metal for a 6mm Napoleonic French army.
Well, yes, indeed. There we go. Other than that, I've carried on painting. I'm about halfway through my first batch of supports for my 15mm German army. I'm painting 3 trucks, 2 Kubelwagons, 2 251s, and 2 anti-tank. So that's cracking on. I painted some bridges. The Tiger Terrain do some very nice girded bridges, very reasonably priced as well. And so I made a bit of. I painted them and made a bit of scenery because I didn't bother buying the ramps because I didn't think the ramps, even when I painted them, I didn't think the ramps would tie in with our particular terrain. So because I wanted it to match, because I'm a bit anal like that, as you may realise. So I made my own kind of ramps for the bridges. So that's what I've been doing. Purchases. Oh, have we bought anything? 2 pots of wash. I'm just trying out some different varnish because Coat d'Armes matte varnish isn't.
Dull coat. Just buy dull coat.
Well,
don't mess with anything else. Just buy dull coat. Spray.
No, I don't like spray varnish. I've got nowhere to spray it.
Andy swears by the painted version.
So where can you get the painted version? Because I ended up buying some Army Painter anti-shine stuff.
I'll check with him for you.
Because that's what Luffy uses.
Andy uses the paint-on version of Dullcoat, I'm pretty sure.
All right, but I must have, people. I know loads of people swear by Dullcoat. I just didn't know where to get it in the UK. I thought, you know what, I'll just take the path of least resistance and order some Army Painter anti-shine because that seemed to be. A few people have said that's pretty good. So. But no, unfortunately, the Coat d'Armes, the Coat d'Armes matte varnish, in my experience, isn't. And I didn't want to risk the Humbrol one again after what it did to my Blood Bowl dwarves. My poor old Blood Bowl Chaos dwarves.
Yeah, but that was 10 years ago, mate. They probably changed the formula by now.
No, get it right. It was 3 years ago.
Sorry.
That
was I thinking.
That was one of those teams I painted in. No, I painted in 2011, I think, because that's when we were running out. That's when we started running our Blood Bowl campaign. 20. I'm getting old.
I hadn't even started blogging in 2011.
Oh right, okay. Yes, I was. Yeah, I was still attempting to paint, and I was still attempting to paint just then. Oh, good grief! Yes, it wasn't good. Anyway, that's what we've been up to. Okay.
Moving on to our next segment.
So, we're passing quickly on, and what's going on? Oh, we've got some gaming news.
Gaming news.
Announcements, new releases, Kickstarters. What's caught our eye? It's time to catch up with the Meeples and Miniatures hobby news.
Okay, so what's been going on? What's caught our eyes since Christmas?
Well, Tor Gaming just started a new KS. So Tor Gaming, that's TOR, not 2 hour.
Right.
They do Relics, which I know is a game that your guys played on the club, Mike.
Yeah, they do.
Which is it's a little, what we call a little boutique game. So a little gang-sized game. It's very odd for trying to describe the genre. Because it's not fantasy, it's not sci-fi, it's not steampunk.
The description you tend to get down our club is kinky Napoleonic bondage puppets.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought it was called Stitch Punk.
Yeah, that too. But yeah, kinky Napoleonic bondage puppets.
I quite like that one.
It's a very, very strange but quite delightful little game.
Yeah, it just looked like fun. And one day I think we're going to have to get them on here to talk about it. But they've got 4 factions out originally, and they've just started a Kickstarter for a new one, which is sort of Cthulhu based. which does look quite interesting. So that's going well. I think the Kickstarter started yesterday, and they're already funded. They only wanted $4,000 in funding, so they're being realistic, which is great.
People.
Yeah.
That saves me a rant on Kickstarters. I can save that for later.
Yeah. So yeah, they've doing well, but it looks interesting. So if you like Cthulhu, bondage, puppets, dwarfs, that's the game for you. And we can also point you in the direction of a good psychiatrist.
Indeed.
To which I suspect the tour games guys are already going.
Yeah.
I mean, to be fair, we may be sounding as though we're knocking it, but it's quite a delightfully strange little game. It's very nice indeed, and has some quite nice mechanics in it as well.
Yeah, it does look good. I had a little demo of it.
There's a very interesting little quirk in the mechanics where you roll multiple dice for combat actions, and you do better by rolling doubles. It's quite interesting. Yeah,
it's a nice little concept, and the figures are fun. The figures
are lovely,
and it looks like an interesting little game, one that definitely needs sort of pushing out to people. So hopefully this Cthulhu one will go well for them.
Cool. Well, since we're going to be talking about Kickstarters, I think I'll mention one which I spotted the other day, which has been going for a couple of days. Army's Army. Not heard of these guys before. Army's Army. It's actually a guy called Keith Armstrong. They're just doing a Kickstarter for 15mm Cold War British and Russian VDV infantry, which, considering, we've got Team Yankee floating around at the moment, seems quite opportune. So basically what he's looking at is Cold War gear, late 70s, early 80s British. So we're looking kind of essentially British Army of the Rhine. And along with that, they're looking at some racing vehicles. So he's got an FE432. He's doing a Chieftain. He's also doing some Russian VDV in cold winter gear. And they're doing things like they're doing infantry on the back of levels. They're doing things like infantry platoons, tank destroyer groups, because they're doing. He's doing Soviet ASU 85 tank destroyers, and they're doing some APCs, BMD APCs, and stuff like that. So basically, you can get things like a mechanized platoon, which is a platoon plus 4 APCs for £30. So that's the sort of level that they're asking for as far as the Kickstarter is concerned. It's been running 2 days. It's already funded. He only wanted, was it 2,700? It's got £600 more than that at the moment, and it doesn't finish until the 4th of February. And especially since I think I just saw the other day that there was a teaser from Battlefront that the next 2 armies they're doing for Team Yankee are Brits and Germans. This is a very opportune release, and estimated deliveries May, so not long to wait either.
Cool, that sounds good.
Yeah, they look really nice. So, so there you go. That's Army's Army, 15mm Cold War British.
While we're on the subject of Kickstarters, and I'm going to surprise you both here because this wasn't on the original headlines list, I spotted one that unfortunately will be finished by the time we've finished this, but looks very, very pretty. Has anybody spotted the Winterdale Medieval Fantasy City Kickstarter?
I've
fascinating.
They are tweeted 2 or 3 times.
They are basically they had no problem making their goal in that they asked for $500 New Zealand dollars and have made 35,000 with 10 hours to go. But the interesting concept they've got is that what they are in fact selling is 3D design files.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Somebody tried that a little while ago, didn't they?
Well, they seem to be. I mean, I'm awfully tempted. They've got their fantasy, but they would almost pass for War of the Roses era scenery. They've got a hamlet. They've got a tower and some rather gnarly looking fantasy trees.
That means they've got tower hamlets.
Yeah, something like that. And then they've got a citadel and a castle, a whole bunch of stretch goals, including a mill, a tavern, a blacksmith's. And they're fantasy in the sort of a little bit like the foreground fantasy stuff in looks, but not quite as angular and spiky. and they would pass for medieval. The castle, particularly, is really, really pretty.
So is it similar to the kind of Games Workshop Empire-esque buildings?
Yeah, kind of. Yeah.
Yeah.
They're a bit. I think the takeaway probably they're a bit vertically tall for classical medieval.
Yeah. But
they do look very nice. I said it's only got 10 hours to go, but even if I suspect that they're trading online already, and you can buy individual designs for whatever money you want. Their little blacksmith shop actually is very classical medieval. You could use that untouched.
So what do you actually get? Do you basically kind of get a technical drawing?
No, you get whatever the standard. I'm blanking briefly. The standard STL file format for your 3D printer.
Oh, right, okay.
Which has the great advantage that while they say it's 28mm, if you want to do it for 15, you only have to rescale the file, which is a single operation in your printer's software.
Not having a 3D printer, I would not know that.
I probably will have before this year is out.
Oh, you heard it here, folks. You heard it here, folks.
Well, I have a son doing product design O-level for a start.
Oh, okay.
But they do look very, very nice indeed. They're very attractive looking designs, and I suspect that given these guys have been doing it for a bit, they know how to make stuff that prints properly without issues.
Yeah, because that's always the problem with these 3D printers.
There's a certain. I was talking to some of the guys at Salute who are doing the 3D printed spaceships, and it's not trivial. You have to get it right. If you don't get it right, they won't print, and it looks horrid. But they're very nice, and even though they're a New Zealand firm called Printable Scenery. And even though the Kickstarter will finish before anybody gets to hear this podcast, if you have access to a 3D printer, I'd encourage you to go and check them out anyway.
You need a sizable 3D printer to do a 28mm house.
Yeah. Most of them will do print in a 8-inch square box, 8-inch cube box, and one story will fit in that, and it's multiple parts.
Yeah. So you print, they print story at a time.
Yeah, but yes, check them out.
It would be interesting to work out how that works out cost-wise.
Oh, very.
I mean, I imagine at the moment, since 3D printing technology is still home 3D printing technology is still kind of in its infancy.
Yeah.
I'd imagine that actually printing them at home would be
probably
quite
not
expensive.
However, I have a suggestion. Let's get them on their show and hold their feet to the fire and ask.
Yeah, why not? Make it so, Mr. Christian.
Hang on, we're not doing ships yet. Move on.
Well, going back to, should we say, the classic style of sculpting, using greens and putty and stuff. A new company I've never heard of them before called Eagle Figures. I don't know if either of you have heard of them. They're about to release a range of 28mm Napoleonic Spanish gorillas, which look really interesting. I mean, they got quite nice ranges anyway. They're lots of Napoleonic, 7 Years' War, 18th, 19th century sort of period, 28mm, and a little bit of 15 stuff.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, I just thought, Spanish gorillas, now they could be really useful for something like sharp practice.
Especially with Sharp Practice 2 coming out this year.
Yeah.
Funny, I was just thinking that.
Yeah. As soon as I saw them, I thought, they look nice. And they look quite slim. They're similar to sort of Richard Ansell's style of sculpting, from Albion Miniatures.
Oh, right, yeah.
Yeah, so it's that sort of slim style. But
now all we need is the 28mm Liz Hurley in suitable French or agent garb, whatever she was for that episode.
Yes, indeedy.
Well, not very much, as I recall, at one point.
I'll be sharp then. So yeah. So I think they're out in end of January. But yeah, check them out. I think they've got a Facebook page, so have a look for Eagle Figures and see what they're doing. But I think Spanish gorillas is always a welcome little range. I don't think anybody else does any. I can't remember anyone else doing them.
So earlier today, Derek's Wee Toys. Hello, Derek. Tweeted a picture of some 28mm gorillas that he was painting for Shop Practice 2. Now, I don't know who. I don't know who does them. Perhaps you could email in and tell us.
Yeah.
But they look quite nice. But yeah, I mean, as I say,
Front Rank do them, apparently.
front rank. So there's a couple around, but yeah, I'm always room for another range. Indeed. Yes.
And also East Riding Miniatures, who I've not heard from in a while.
That's a blast from the past, isn't it?
It is, isn't it?
Yeah.
Crikey, he's riding. Cool. Yeah, I haven't heard from them for a while.
So there we go. There are some Spanish gorillas around, but these ones look very nice, especially the priest.
One more thing to mention on Kickstarter, I suppose. Our mate Ken. Hello, Ken. Ken Whitehurst. Remember, we had him on the show a long time ago to talk about Polyversal, and he was going to come back and give us regular updates.
Yeah,
that went well, didn't it?
Yeah, he's been on one since.
Oh, he has been on one, yeah. Really good news is the fact that Polyversal is coming to Kickstarter late January.
Yeah,
late January. So we will finally get to see what Ken has been working on for all this time, and basically watch this space. We'll let you know as soon as it's up. And well, I suppose we'll have to get Ken back on the show to have a chat about it.
Yeah, that'd be nice.
That'd be nice indeed. So Ken, if you're listening, we'll be in touch.
Yeah.
So
let's give him 10 minutes. That's all.
Yeah. Yes. Polyversal is coming to a Kickstarter in January. Keep your eyes open for it.
Yeah. So Polyversal is 6mm sci-fi big battle, but it's range agnostic. So they're doing the rules, and different manufacturers are basically coming up with stats for their own figures.
They've got lots and lots of people on board with it, haven't they?
Yeah, they have. Rules look nice, but I can't tell you about them because I've signed an NDA, and Ken is a practicing solicitor, and he'll probably sue me.
I was going to say he's a lawyer. You don't want to cross it.
No, don't go there. Really, don't go there.
Yeah. But they're very nice. I'm contractually obliged to say.
Contractually obliged to say they're nice. I like it.
Moving swiftly on to those beloved friends of the show, the Lardies.
Yes.
We have to say that because they pay us money. Actually,
no, we say it anyway.
We don't have to say that just because they pay us money.
No.
Yeah, fair dues. That's one stipulation.
Yes.
Yeah.
So the Christmas special is out. It's actually probably the New Year special, given that Rich has had a bit of a tough time getting it out. But it's out. It's 103 pages of Lardy fun, including Chain of Command Abyssinia, some plausible magic for Dux Britanniarum. I might take a look at that. Assorted interesting stuff to do with British reconnaissance troops in I Ain't Been Shot, Mum.
And rules for Chain of Command with them as well.
And indeed, somebody with a nice painting guide on German camouflage patterns. I'm going to have to read that. Wait for it.
I don't agree with you. I don't agree with this Splinter pattern, but there you go.
Well, yeah. There is a set of variant rules.
Who am I to talk about paint?
Gosh, no, or me for that matter. Some Chain of Command rules for the undead.
We'll come back to that, shall we?
We'll come back to that. And interestingly, a scenario or tale entitled Mrs. Slocum Rides Again.
Oh, yes, the Lardy's Christmas. Yes. It's,
yeah.
Yes,
they do some very interesting things around Christmas. We have a similar warped tradition at Halloween for the club, which is what produced the Dead's Army game in the end. But yes, Lardy Christmas special. If you are a follower of Lard, particularly this year a follower of World War II Lard, since it does have a slight World War II slant, it's a princely $5 for a downloadable PDF worth every.
And you missed the 1942 Malaysia campaign.
I did. My apologies. I did. I was trying not to read out the entire contents list on the grounds that gives nobody any reason to go visit their website.
Oh, sorry. Epic fail.
Never mind. But yours for a $5.
Indeed.
Well worth it.
Yeah,
I've got to say that Abyssinia campaign, all of the...
Of course, that's your sort of area, isn't it?
Yeah.
Oh, God, yeah. I mean, I don't know much about Abyssinia. I know a little bit about early war, North Africa, and I've sort of skirted around Abyssinia. But the stuff that these guys, I mean, Rolf and Jim, they did the Hispania stuff last year, didn't they? Spanish Civil War.
Yeah.
I've seen it. It looks really interesting. It really. Oh, there's so many buttons being pressed at the moment on that.
It's dangerous.
Yeah, so I'm purposely not going to read that campaign
For a bit.
Yeah.
Not yet. What was that? I'm too busy doing 20 mil Ardennes. Thank you very much.
Yes.
Or 28 mil Ardennes or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I must now. Okay, I know I heaved a sigh when we started looking at Undead for World War II, but I mean, yeah, I am a fan of alternate World War II, and so I do have to ask the question. I don't know whether you guys know this. Okay, so other than Clockwork Goblin and Rebel Minis, do you know anybody else who does Nazi zombies and werewolves in 15 mil?
Oh, 15 mil? Ooh, that's trickier, isn't it?
Yeah, because Clockwork Goblin do Nazi zombies in 15 mil. Obviously, they're easily available in the UK.
But they're quite big.
Oh, they're quite big 15 mil, are they?
Yeah, I've got some here. Funnily enough.
Funnily enough. Here's some I prepared earlier.
Yeah. They're more like 18 mil.
Oh, right, okay.
But they're lovely. Very nice.
Yeah, they do look nice.
That's really, really worrying. I started typing Nazi zombies 15 mil into Google, and when you get to Nazi zombies, Wikipedia has a disambiguation page.
Oh, yes.
That's really quite scary.
Yes, because I must admit, I did start looking at, so where the heck does Nazi zombies come from anyway? And I think the earliest film reference we've got goes back to a US film from 1977, if I remember rightly. But yes, it's like, yeah, where the heck do Nazi zombies come from? And then,
Rebel Minis does appear to be your main choice.
Yes. Now, I don't know if they have a UK distributor. I know distribution costs for them isn't too bad. I think it works out about. I think they do a flat rate $12 international. I think, which is great actually. But yeah, I was just wondering if there was anybody else. That was all. But I must admit, I prefer Clockwork Goblins 15 mil zombies to Rebel Minis. But having said that, if Clockwork Goblins are a little oversized,
I'll send you some to have a look at. I'm pretty sure I got them painted.
Well, don't worry too much. I'll have a look around. I'll see what I can find. But as I say, it was like, well, if I was going to do it, I just because I've got to find something to beat that can beat Dave's powers. I'm thinking, Nazi zombies, Pegasus Bridge with a difference.
If you do that to Dave, he will sulk for a month. You know that. He doesn't do fantasy.
I was just thinking, it's like, okay, we're all set up for, Pegasus Bridge, and the first time it's like, and we rush and we get the bridge, and you hear this moaning sound.
Well, it would be out because it's at night. You can chuck some vampires in there as well.
Lordy Laws don't contain rules for some vampires. It's only. I mean, they say yes, potentially vampires, but they don't include any rules. It's only zombies and werewolves.
I don't know.
Because vampires suck.
Oh.
Bubum and indeed Tish.
Yes.
Dear.
Next item.
What's the phrase? Moving quickly on. I'll tell you what. Shall we carry on talking about zombies?
Go on.
Mantic have just made a big announcement. Well, they said it was a big announcement about they now have. They've just announced a license tie-in, because people have been announcing IP. Warlord have been doing things like Terminator and what have you. And so Mantic came back and said, "Oh yeah, we're producing a game based on the Walking Dead comics." So hey, they're producing a zombie game. Because we haven't got any zombie games we can play, have we?
Well, playing devil's advocate, because you know me, I'm not a big fan of Mantic. If they're doing a Walking Dead comic, it's going to be survivors versus survivors, isn't it? With zombies.
Oh, with zombies.
It's just clutter. So you're not going to have a player playing the zombies. They're just going to be there wandering around, getting in the way. So that could be an interesting little game. Depends how they do it.
Yeah, and I suppose everybody who backed the Battle Systems Kickstarter back into last year, and now rubbing their hands, going, "Oh, great! We'll have a game to play around about the same time as we get our Kickstarter." Well, that's assumed. Well,
that rather presupposes that we know how Mantic's planning on funding this or doing it, doesn't it?
Yeah, but
yeah.
I mean, given their track record, I can't see it. I can't see it not being Kickstarter.
Which means that there will be a lifetime supply of people telling them to fix everything else that they've broken with all the other Kickstarters before they get this one out. I mentioned that I make that remark without prejudice, other than I'm just fed up of seeing it in comments on forum posts.
I mean, it could go well for them.
Yeah, I mean, from my point of view, I say my thing was just.
Oh, look, it's another zombie game.
At what point? Yeah, at what point are we going to turn around and go, "We have got enough zombie games"? I mean, you look at, X hundred number of different editions of Zombicide that have been produced in the last couple of years, and we've had zombie games galore, zombie games coming out of our rears over the last few years, haven't we? And I'm thinking, really, we're going to do another one?
I think that's the thing is, I think anyone who's playing zombies in a sort of post-apocalyptic game style will probably be playing Zombicide.
Yeah, I suppose. But
let's see what they come up with. I mean, I don't think they covered themselves with glory with the Mars Attacks IP. Because I don't think that game is, it didn't seem to know what it was. And I don't think I've ever seen anybody actually playing the thing.
I have. Once.
Yeah. So, it might be a big success, but at least they're buying the IPs, which is always,
But there's almost a degree to which post-apocalypse zombie is a genre and a period like World War II these days.
Yes.
And yes, there is a subtlety in that zombies per se, your setting has various different rationales for how zombies happen, and that can affect your setting. But fundamentally, it's survivors versus zombies. The fact that classic George Romero is The Living Dead, and something like Myra Grant's Feed is a flu virus gone wrong, a flu virus cure gone wrong, but they're still zombies. There's only, I mean, in Myra Grant's defense, and I'm only saying that because I helped consult the book, it's a very different setting to quite a lot of them, but most of them, it's...
I just love the way you just drop that in there.
But the reason I picked that out is it's such a massively different setting to most of the Living Dead settings. But it still boils down to the fact that you've got undead, you've got survivors, and, well, hey.
Yeah, I mean, like I say, if they do survivors versus survivors, and there's some sort of RPG style.
But from a gaming point of view, you're still just trying to survive against the endless tides of the undead, unless you get something clever in the survivors versus survivors line.
Yeah, I think that could be interesting, especially if they do use some of the stuff from the comics where ammo is in short supply. So and you've got that sort of element based into it. That could be quite interesting, but it depends how they do it, and it also depends on what, in my view, what product they use, because that Restic stuff they use is awful.
I've been quite lucky so far. My Kings of War elves are straight out plastic.
Yeah, some of the Dreadball figures are interesting.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, don't remind me. I'm sticking together some of the Dreadball figures wasn't fun.
No. But I must admit, most of my for good or for bad, most of my Mantic Kickstarter stuff is still in the box. Both my Dreadball and my Dead Zone.
Strange you should mention that, so that's fine.
I didn't buy any, so mine isn't.
Well, there we go.
Yeah.
It's Schrodinger's figures. We don't know until we open the box whether they're plastic or Restic.
Yes, and how much stuff are we missing? I mean, I must admit, other than kind of going through and saying, am I physically missing? Am I physically missing anything? As in, I don't have it. I don't have enough I don't have enough stuff. I don't know. I've gone through that check, but other than that, I haven't done a quality check, which is perhaps a little trusting of me. But there we go. Yeah, interesting to because I've been hearing lots of things about Dead Zone with the fact that because they've done they've redone the rules, haven't they? Stuff like that. I must admit I've not really kept up with it that much because it's like I really like the original Dead Zone rules, and it's one reason why I kind of got into it and bought into it, and then when they're turning around and going, oh, they were far too complicated, we're going to redo it. I was like, really? But yeah, okay, let's step away from that. Right. Anything else before we have to crack on?
Yeah, very, very quick one. Shield Wall Miniatures, which is a little company run by a mate of mine called John, in conjunction with Grip and Beast, who has released last year a whole bunch of Vikings.
Oh, right.
And
those are lovely.
Yeah, they're the original sculpts by one of the original founders of Grip and Beast, whose name has completely slipped my mind.
Oh, that would be a deduction of brownie points for you then.
Yeah. Yes, it's completely gone, but an old sculptor, really, really good.
They're very pretty figures. I have a particular soft spot for their chubby warlord.
Yes.
Who is a nice, generously rotund Viking.
Yes, almost like Ernest Borgnine in some respects.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, but he's got a whole new bunch of Vikings coming out.
Sorry, I was gone. I was gone there.
You were gone there for a while, weren't you?
Yeah. But they're not bad. They are £6 for a pack of 4 figures. They're lovely.
Yeah, lovely little figures. And he's got some new ones coming out, and I've seen some of the greens, and they're lovely. Really, really nice figures. So
I do like the fact that the product description is chubby warlord.
Yeah.
As opposed to chubby bunny.
Yeah.
Blast in the past. Yeah, they are nice.
They are, aren't they?
Yeah.
And he is indeed a thoroughly generously proportioned.
Yes. I was going to say, sorry, listeners, my Google through was a bit slower than the other guys.
Some of us Googled beforehand.
Oh, there we go. Yeah.
I know it's cheating. It's terrible.
Yeah, but he's got new Vikings coming out, which are looking lovely. So more news on that when it comes. And the only other thing,
not make bad hero. Some of them will not make bad hero figures for something like Duck's Brit either.
Yeah.
Particularly the Vikings with the round shields are very slightly Saxony looking. If you've seen one bloke in chainmail with a round shield, you've seen several.
Yeah.
Indeed.
Yeah. And the only other bit of news I've got is some good news, everybody. 7TV second edition is about to be delivered. They've got the boxes in the warehouse and they're starting to post them out.
Woo! Hang on, did I subscribe to that?
You did, yeah. So expect a parcel fairly soon, Mike.
Oh, cool! New toys I wasn't expecting.
Yes. And the other they did sneak out on Christmas Eve is they've done a Star Wars program guide, which they've done as a free PDF.
They've done a Star Wars program guide?
Yep.
Oh, superb! Because you know what I've just found?
You found your Star Wars figures.
I found all my Wizards Star Wars figures.
Yeah.
I've got tons of them. I've got loads of stormtroopers and rebel troops and all the and all the characters. Oh, great stuff!
So there you go. If you want to pay 7TV with your Star Wars stuff, go and grab the free PDF. I've got it. It looks lovely.
Okay. I have to ask. Which films does it cover?
There's only 3. There's now only 4 films. These are the first 3 films. Let's say there's 3 versions of Luke, each of which seems to match one particular film.
Count the hands.
Yeah.
Count the hands.
He's got 2 in the first card, and he's only got 1 in the last 2. Yeah, so it's the proper Star Wars, you know. Proper.
Oh, yes, good stuff. Oh. Super.
Yeah, it's great because I'm looking at the figures I got for Imperial Assault, thinking, that'll fit in quite nicely.
Oh yes, I was forgetting that game that fell off the shelf. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Have you painted all those?
Yeah,
You have, haven't you?
Yeah, I had a few for Christmas as well. So I had Han and Chewie and Boba Fett for Christmas. So they've just been undercoated, so they'll be going up next. So yeah, so there we go.
Awesome.
That's my hobby news.
Star Wars. Awesome.
Yep, Star Wars 7 TV.
Star Wars 7 TV. Oh, yes. Right, sold.
Yep.
Except it's free.
Except it's free.
Yes.
Although you do need the second edition rules to play the game.
Oh, that'll be the second edition rules that are landing on my doorstep fairly shortly.
Yeah, but also the second edition rules, aren't they available as a free download?
Yeah, they are, I think.
No excuse, guys. No excuse at all.
No excuse at all. Because I seem to remember them mentioning the fact that that they were available as a free PDF, or you could buy them.
Mm.
So there you go.
Yeah,
cool.
And 7 TV is a nice little game.
Indeed.
There we go. That's hobby news finished.
Hang on, that was meant to be a 15-minute segment.
How long did it take?
A bit longer. I lost count. It was a bit longer than 15 minutes.
Oh well, never mind.
Yeah, but we waffled.
Indeed, we did.
You can edit ruthlessly, and I'm sure you will.
Nah. Okay, so passing quickly on, we'll wander away, and when we come back, we'll have our feature review of the episode.
It's time to go into the rules. It's the Meeples and Miniatures in-depth review. We go deep. Really deep. No, I mean really, really deep.
And we're back. I think at this point we need to hand over to Mr. Whitaker. So, Mr. Whitaker, what delight have you in store for us today, sir?
Oh, you would know by now. We've been trying to do it for long enough. Sails of Glory, which is Napoleonic Naval combat from those jolly nice chaps at Ares Games who bought the Wings of War franchise, turned it into Wings of Glory, which fundamentally is exactly the same thing, and then kickstarted Sails of Glory, which it basically sits there with pretty much the same core concepts in that it's, if you like, a collectible miniatures game.
Right.
In that you get, I've got here one of the specials, which is HMS Victory, and that basically you get a ship, which is 1/1000th scale, aka 2 mil scale, for those of you who are insane enough to want figures in that scale.
So as far as naval combat's concerned, that's quite big.
Yeah. Distant sounds of Mike removing things from a box. The ship holds it up to the microphone so everyone can see.
Oh, it looks lovely.
Yeah, it does, doesn't it?
Superb.
It's based on a base which is about 75mm by 50mm, or 2x3.
Or 2x3 for those watching in black and white.
Right. HMS Victory, which is probably one of their bigger ships, is 3 inches from waterline to masthead. And they are really quite nice. Plastic, pre-painted. So for those of us who are currently not painting too well, it's been a valuable thing to have far too many of.
Are they pre-painted well enough that you don't kind of look at them and kind of go, I really need to repaint those?
It depends on your standards, I would say. There's a fairly thriving community on salesofglory.org, and quite a lot of them give them a lick of paint, recolour some of the rigging. Some of them actually go as far as re-rigging the ships with thread, which I think is completely insane, or etched brass. People do etched brass rigging kits for the ships. If you really want to go to town, you could go to town.
Well, you are entering into the realms of Napoleonic Naval gaming. This is a This is ask Nick. Yes, I was going to say ask
Nick.
Yes, ask Nick Skinner about that one.
But that aside, they're nice. They're all right. They're not. I wouldn't, if I wouldn't enter one for a modelling competition. But as a ship with the right looking colour hull and white sails and wood coloured masts and a flag, they're actually rather pretty. You could probably improve them greatly with a touch of touch of the appropriate colour paint on the boom, the crossbars which have not been painted wood colour, and probably even just some Army Painter soft tone wash on the sails, just to bring out some of the folds and rigging lines and things. Yeah. If you wanted to, but they're on the table they look remarkably nice.
Sorry to interrupt, but I do wonder kind of why they chose 1/1000th. So because if I remember rightly, now I'm by no means an aficionado on anything to do with sailing gaming, but aren't the two standard scales either 1/1200th scale or 1/2400th scale?
Yes, Langton are the premier Napoleonic Naval manufacturer, and they are 1/1200th.
So so it just makes me wonder why they went for just like 1/1000th.
You and quite a few other people, I believe.
Okay, fair enough.
But that aside, so it's a collectible miniatures game. Your ship comes with a base, which is about 1/4 inch thick, maybe a bit thicker, which has a card insert on it, which has the ship's firing arcs and a couple of other bits on it, as well as the ship's name. Now, nicely, these are reversible. So for the victory, you get stats for the Battle of the Nile victory and the Trafalgar victory.
Oh, okay, that's cool.
And for all the, quotes, generic ship types, you will get 2 ships of that particular class. So for French Temeraire class frigates, your one box comes with 2 subtly different ships. You also get, in a similar manner to Wings of War, Wings of Glory, a set of movement cards, which I will cover later, which are specific to that ship, which is actually quite important.
Right.
And you get what they call a ship's log, which is a set of, excuse me while I remove it from the box, it's a set of 3 or 4 stat, effectively. They're a set of cards you place counters on to denote damage to the ship, and they basically arrange into a long line that sits in effectively a mount that comes with the box, the game box.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so you get, is that for each ship you get one of those?
Yes, for each ship you get one of those. There is also a starter set, which comes with 4 ships, a counter set, and 4 ships logs, so you can place your 4 ships logs frames for you to place your things in, some markers, some rulers, and the rulebook, and some wind direction indicators, and a few other things like that.
Okay. So this isn't like a big fleet game, though, I'm guessing.
No, gosh no. Well, it is, but we found that you can cope with 2 or maybe 3 ships each maximum once you've got your head around the rules. And there is a little issue that the ship log takes up probably something like 10 inches by 4. You rapidly run out of table space.
So basically, it's one of these games that you have your table, and then you definitely need a side table with all the other.
It does not hurt. No, it does not hurt. But
yeah, because that's the thing with sort of naval games, isn't it? You either get down where you got a whole fleet and everything is very, very abstracted, and or you go down to the sort of micro level where this looks like it is, where you're playing 1 or 2 ships.
That said, the Ares Games guys and the Sails of Glory Anchorage guys have put on some stupidly large games. If you search around for last year's Gen Con, they had something like 70 ships aside, if memory serves. But the problem with that is because you have issues just of flat out reaching to get to the ships, you wind up with basically playing a very long, thin, stretched out encounter, which is not that unreasonable for the kind of battle that's just 2 long lines of ships coming to terms with each other. But you still do rather hit the point that it sort of devolves into a bunch of little clustered battles with you against the person opposite you.
Although, to be fair,
they did.
That's essentially what happened.
Yeah. And that's always the thing with any multiplayer game.
Yes,
you always end up fighting this.
You always end up fighting the guy opposite you. Yes, exactly.
Yeah. And occasionally somebody on either side will butt in, and you get very upset.
Absolutely. So yeah, that's basically the the core concept, the conceit behind it, if you like.
Mhm.
There's a couple of specials. The HMS Victory is one, the USS Constitution is another, which come with some extra cards for captain's attributes, which are quite interesting. There was also a set of those available in the Kickstarter, which I managed to score off someone who'd been doing some speculative investment in the Kickstarter. I gather the Kickstarter had a bit of a checkered history in that things did take their own sweet time to turn up. But that's not so uncommon with Kickstarters. It also, I pick up a slight vibe, and I may be doing Ares a disservice here, but it doesn't feel like it's their top priority amongst their product line, which is a shame.
So what else are they doing?
Wings of War / Glory, and now Wings of War.
Which has always been hugely popular.
Oh yeah, it's one of our go-to pickup games for pulling out when half a dozen people turn up at the club with nothing to play. And it is very good for that. They've also got, what else have they got? Let's go into their website to have a look. They've got a War of the Rings game. War of the Ring game. And they've got a couple of interesting little co-op games and the likes. If you look at their upcoming section, I know they have Wave 3 of the Sails of Glory ships is, quote, in production, but it's not on their January or their February release list.
Right.
But for those of you into Wings of Glory, the Handley Page 0400 and a whopping great Zeppelin Strauken are.
Oh!
What?
What?
So, no, I suddenly realised. So I was looking back and thinking, War of the Ring, is that the War of the Ring? Yes, it is the War of the Ring.
The War of the Ring, yes.
It's
a very nice, it's a
stonking game.
Very fine game, which I must treat myself to at some point.
Yeah, so unfortunately, I've only got first edition.
The good news is second edition is being reprinted and coming out this month.
Ooh.
But we digress.
Indeed. Yes. But War of the Ring is a it's big. It's a big game, but it's got loads of lovely. I've also got the battle expansion for it. Yeah, so you can do Helm's Deep and Minas Tirith.
Yes.
Superb.
Yeah, it's a game with a 2 foot by 3 foot game board.
Oh yeah, I'd say it's huge.
It's a quarter of a normal size war games table.
Indeed.
It's getting as mad as the Firefly game for board size. But anyway, we do digress, rather.
We do digress. Sorry.
All right, so go on, let's go back to the game. So it's a couple of ships per player.
Yep.
You got a nice big sheet for each ship, which tracks all of your damage and your stats, I'm guessing. And then on the table, you've just got the ship on its base.
Yes.
Yeah.
Basically, they sell an ocean mat in the sort of the Frostgrave, etc. feel of thing, which is 2 foot by 3 foot. We've typically been playing at the club on 6x4, and that includes a little space for tucking your ship counters off to the side, and we invariably wind up moving them halfway through the game. Yeah, they also make some cardboard scenery. They do some cardboard islands that will sit on your mat. They do some cardboard shore batteries, but it is 1/1000 scale, which means that brigade models and Langton and a few other people do some quite nice scenery, and it's not beyond the wit of anybody to repurpose some normal wargaming hills as islands.
Yeah. That's the one thing I do like about naval games is you can just plonk a hill on a bit of green, on a bit of blue mat, and lovely, you've got a nice island there.
Yep, that's it.
Mike, I can't think of where on earth you're going to get a piece of blue matting.
Some sort of vinyl flooring.
Oh, that's a toughie, isn't it? Actually, to be fair, Greg from our club has just taken away 6 of our 4x2 boards, and I've seen some samples of his of what he's proposing to do to one side of them to turn them into ocean-going boards, and they are lovely. He's got a little bit of PVA texturing and then some gloss varnish on top of a deep blue-green, and they look really good. It's better than just blue emulsion, which is what we've got at the moment anyway.
Yeah.
What? Or blue vinyl?
Or blue vinyl, yes. Unfortunately, the blue vinyl is 18 feet long and a 6 foot wide roll, and it does take a bit of shifting. It's not currently stored at the club.
Yeah, but
2 minutes with a Stanley knife. Yeah, you'll have that sorted out.
And we'll never be able to play the Dambusters game again.
Oh, yeah.
Well, minor point.
Yeah.
A minor point. But we, again,
But at least you've got a decent sized table for when you get to the point where you do that big multiplayer game.
yes, which will be happening towards the end of this year because we're going to be running a Sales of Glory narrative campaign.
Right, go on. Let's go back to the rules then.
Let's go back to the rules.
Yeah.
So, the obvious one we'll get out of the way straight away. Yes, there is a points list. It's a free download from the Ares website, but I've certainly found that ships divide pretty clearly into ships of the line, frigates, and small lightweight odds and sods, and we tend to sort of pair up. It's about a 3-to-2 ratio of ships of the line to frigates.
So is a points list? The points aren't printed on the individual cards of the ships. Then?
No, it's not. It's not really. I said I've never found a reason to use the points list.
Okay.
I've tended for 2 ships against 3 or whatever. You just tend to gauge it by eye. I mean, one of the most fun scenarios we run fairly regularly is to give one side 3 frigates and the other side a ship of the line, which is a really good test of your sailing skills and your tactics.
Sink the Bismarck.
Pretty much, yeah.
Yes.
We've had some cracking games with that. It's great fun from that point of view. So your ships have effectively 4 stats. There is a concept called burden, which is basically how heavy the thing is. And that governs a few things like how much damage it does if it crashes into a friendly ship, order of various other things to do with grappling and the like. That's a stat that ranges from 2 to 6, where a ship of the line is 6, and the little swan sloop is 2. There's also veer. Now, veer governs how fast you can turn, and I'll get to that when we cover movement, and that ranges pretty much in the reverse order from burden, strangely enough, in that small ships can slalom madly and big lumbering ships of the line, if they've just shoved the helm hard over to port, they aren't immediately going to be able to turn hard over to starboard.
Can I ask a stupid question?
Yes. Always.
Oh, okay. So, size of ship, do they still maintain the same base size?
Yes.
And just the ship size changes?
Yes.
Okay.
It just does.
Is that because of how gunnery works, or
to a degree? It's just. I think they would have gone insane if they'd done it any other way. Wings of Glory does the same. If you think about it, all the planes are actually based on the same fundamental bottom base.
Yeah.
It's just not as noticeable when you've got where effectively the bottom base is. Yeah, it's all right. It was just one of the.
Yeah.
It's just imagining you got a 3x2 base with something like HMS Victory on it, and then you got the 3x2 base with the sloop.
Well, HMS Victory, to be fair, does overhang the front and the back.
Yeah, well, that's what I'm kind of getting at.
Yeah, and the sloop's fundamentally about half that size. Yeah,
I was going to say, he just sits in the middle of the base, looking a bit sad.
They're really cute, actually. They're great fun. They're great fun to sail. Okay, your other 2 stats are firepower. Now, firepower, for those of you familiar with Flames of War / Glory, you do damage by drawing chits from a pool. And your firepower effectively governs how many chits you draw. Now, for each ship, you have a full broadside, and then a partial front and a partial rear if you're not in the arc for the full broadside. And so, for example, the Victory, its full broadside is 7, and then its forward broadside is 5, and its rear broadside is 6. And you'll find that for something like a frigate, it's something like 3, 4, 3. And so on and so forth. You also have the other stat is musketry, which governs your crew. When you get in close, your crew can get stuck in as well, and they draw chits for musketry fire.
Right.
And again, that starts at something like the Victory. That starts at 4, and so on. And there is another stat which is effectively rate. So what do we call it? The Victory is a first rater. And they go down to 5th for some of the smaller and lighter things. So that's basically your stats. You've got something of the order of. I'll bring up the ship spreadsheet. There are 35 or so different vessels of various shapes and sizes. A lot of them, in fact, there are essentially only 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, about 9 different ship models. But they've done some quite clever stuff with repurposing them, in that typically, for example, the French Téméraire class, there are three different French models, one of which appears in the starter set, one of which is a ship pack, separate ship pack in Wave 1, and one's actually a Kickstarter exclusive, but it's basically a repaint. And of course, each of that is reversible, so you have effectively 6 different French frigates.
Right.
In addition to that, they've also have it liveried up as, given the Napoleonic tendency to capture the enemy's ships and use them, you can also get that particular class as the Spanish ship, the Argonauta, which is one of the 2 Spanish ships in the 2 Spanish designs in the current set of ships.
So this isn't a game where you need to buy hundreds and hundreds of ships. You can buy a small amount of ships.
No, why would anybody want to do that?
Well, other than you, of course, you've bought
Other than me, of
ships.
course, yeah. No, you can have some really quite satisfying fights with just the starter set. And if you want to pick up, a few more here and there as you need them, there are some ships. The starter set includes 2 British. Hang on, let me just reorder the spreadsheet by where things come from, as that makes this a much easier question to answer. He's
organised. He has spreadsheets.
There's a downloadable spreadsheet from the Sales of Glory folks with a complete list of everything that's available, which is very handy. There are basically 2 72 gunners, one each for the Brits. Well, 2 74s, one each for the Brits and the French, and 2 32-gun frigates, one each for the British and the French in the starter set, which is enough to get you started.
Mm-hmm.
Wave 1 is a mix of 32s and 74s, using pretty much the same set of sculpts, renamed various ways. Wave 2 includes some big-ass first-raters, British hundreds, French 118 gunners, that kind of thing, and the little 14-gun sloops, and some 40-gun frigates as well. So it's quite nice. From a point of view of variety, Wave 3, I gather, includes some things of different sizes and some real-life, genuine Spanish ships, rather than repurposed other people's ships. So the Spanish start to become a viable force, which is nice. Will be for our club campaign, certainly. So,
talk us through a turn then.
Let's go. Yeah. Deployment and setup version.
Is scenario based, or you can do the arbitrary setup within 12 inches of each.
So, how many scenarios are there?
There's a smattering in the back of the rule book. I'm using that term fairly loosely. Is
that a metric or imperial smattering?
It's.
Oh no!
Now you're asking.
Yeah, plus there's the Americanized smattering as well, which obviously is smaller than the European smattering.
Indeed, that's only 16 as opposed to 20.
Yes.
There's 1, 2, 3, 4 or 5 scenarios in the back.
Mm-hmm.
The things like enemy in sight, which is a straight, you set up on opposite edges of a table and run into each other. There's similar variants with extra bits of scenery in shallows. There's a force the blockade, which is quite a fun one, where one side starts at one edge, long edge, short edge of the table. The other side are in the middle, and they have to stop and get into the other end of the table. And there's a few other things like that. I mean, it's scenarios. You can sit there and draw deployment areas and random bits of scenery and victory conditions to your heart's content. They also provide a whole bunch of downloadable scenarios on the website. So if you want to refight certain historical battles, if you look at the downloads section on the Ares Games site, there are a whole bunch of Sales of Glory downloads, including a complete PDF of the rules if you want to check them out before you start. The aforementioned points table, there is a stack of scenarios from their 2014 scenario contest. There is a stack of 10 historical scenarios using the ships from the first wave. So there's plenty to be going on with. done quite a lot. We tend to just, to be fair, we tend to just turn up, see how many players we've got, grabs a few hills from the hills box, throw them randomly on the table, and see how the spirit moves us. And we have a great deal of fun doing it. So Napoleonic purists can probably throw their hands up in horror at this point, but it does lend itself to fairly quick fun and surprisingly realistic compared to some other implementations of how to sail.
Mm.
Right.
Okay, so how's it work then?
How's it work? Right. The first thing to be aware of is that there are effectively, I'm going to say, 2.5 sets of rules for this game. There is what's called the basic rules, which are very basic. There are the advanced rules, which will be much more familiar to you if you've played something like Wings of War or Wings of Glory, in that that's where plotting your moves a turn in advance starts to happen. In the basic game, you plot a move and play it. And then on top of that, there are a bunch of optional rules. The basic distinction is in the basic game, you pick a movement card from your ship's movement deck, you put it down blind, and then everybody turns them up and plays them. In the standard game, you plot the movement card for next turn, and then pick up the one you plotted last turn and play that.
Right, okay.
So it means you have to think ahead.
Yeah.
And you can come very entertainingly unstuck as well doing it. Now,
especially if you've forgotten what you've been.
or you have done the classic Wings of War and Sails of Glory player mistake and forgotten your left from your right because you're not looking at the front of the ship.
Sorry, port and starboard. Come on.
Oh, I get it, great. Port and starboard. Yeah. Indeed. The honourable gentleman is indeed correct. Right. I'm not going to go through the turn sequence. The reason I'm not going through the turn sequence is that it has 5 phases and 15, 20, 23 sub-phases.
Oh, so it's a fairly complicated one then.
Surprisingly not.
I was going to say, not a simple game.
Right, now, my beef with all this is that actually it is surprisingly simple. The problem is the way they have laid out the rule book is that there is not a complete set of rules for the standard game. If the rule is in the basic rules, it tells you to go and look it up in the basic rules, which are towards the front of the book. This means that there isn't anywhere in the actual rule book where there is a particularly clear, here's the order in which things happen.
Oh, okay.
Somebody, in fact, several somebodies, to whom much kudos on the Sails of Glory Anchorage, have produced a quick reference sheet. And essentially, this gives you the things you have to do in order. Now, a lot of these steps are very, very simple. For instance, you start phase 1, determine whether the wind has changed. Then deal with any ongoing damage, then plan your move, then plan your crew actions, and that's phase 1 over. Now, so these are quite short steps, but there's some interesting subtleties in the rules where the order of these really, really matters. And they're made to happen in the order they do. And the side effect of this is, for example, the wind changes before you plot your move for next turn, so you can react. But at the other end of the turn, you specify reloads before you clear guns you've fired, which means that, modulo a special rule, you can't fire on consecutive turns because at the point when you're giving a reload order, the guns you've just fired aren't empty.
Hang on. Yeah. Right.
You fire, say...
Yes.
You fire your port broadside, you say, my starboard guns are empty, I'd like to reload them now, and then you clear your port broadside. So this effectively gives you a built-in, there's a turn's worth, you've got to wait a turn to reload, so, which is quite clever. There's several subtleties that you start to appreciate the more you play it, that they've actually done quite a bit of clever little design on the precise order that these phases and sub-phases happen in. But as I said, the real problem is that it's quite hard to find these in the rule book. And the downloadable quick reference card, which has the pages in order, the phases in order, and a page reference for each one, is really handy the first couple of times. Once you've got used to it, you can play it almost without.
Yeah.
And it doesn't take that long to learn.
So
But
is it a case of play a couple of games using the basic rules?
No, we didn't. We dove straight in with the advanced, and it really. I looked at the basic. The basic rules are really an oversimplification, and they take out some of the cleverness. And it's, if you're even remotely used to something like Wings of War, then you won't have any problems. But on the large scale, there are basically 5 phases. There's planning, which is course change, wind changes, planning your movements. There's handling your crew actions, which I'll get to when I get there. Then there's movement. Then there's combat. Then there's reloading, and you go back round and start again. And there are sub-phases. There's an order in which things happen in each of those phases.
Right.
So, planning, I already went through. You determine whether the wind's going to change. There's a nice little card wind direction pointer. And you effectively draw a wind speed chit and a wind direction chit. The wind speed chit either has no change or clockwise or anti-clockwise, so plus or minus, and the wind direction chit has no change or clockwise or anti-clockwise. And effectively, if you get a change, it stays on the compass rose, and if you get another one to match it, then the wind changes. So you can see, your bosun says, Captain, we feel a wind change coming on. So you have time to plan for the eventuality that it might happen, which is quite nice. You also have crew actions. Your ship crew can do 4 actions, except when they start taking damage, at which point they can do fewer. And these are things like grapple the ship that you're currently up against, or just take in sail, add more sail, pump water, repair damage, fire a broadside, reload your gun, fire your muskets, that kind of thing. But you have 4 actions to choose from. So at the point where your ship starts to get damaged, you're sitting there trying to decide, do I have time to reload? Do I even have time to fire? I've got to fight this fire and pump water out. I appear to be running out of crew actions at a rate of knots help. So it's an interesting little management problem, which is quite nice.
And is that more relevant the bigger the ship is?
No, actually, which is quite interesting. You still start out with four crew actions, come what may.
Oh, regardless of the size of the ship?
Yeah, bigger ship, bigger crew.
Yeah, okay.
And fundamentally, it takes twice as many crew to bring in sail on a ship of the line as it does a sloop, for example.
Mm.
So you're still, your limit is your crew. Your crew number is an arbitrary resource, not an actual physical number of crew. It seems to work quite well. So that's crew actions. I've oversimplified that slightly because otherwise we'll be here all night. But you kind of get the feel. Movement is quite clever. If you go back to your ship, you discover that round the edge of the base are some bands of colour. Now, right. What you can do is there are, by design, as well as the main wind compass rose, there are a couple of little repeaters that you can pick up and put by your ship. And you line up the repeater parallel with the actual direction of the wind and pointing at your main mast, the middle mast, and you see where on the ship the line crosses, what colour where it crosses the border of the ship is. Now, there are 3 colours, and if I pull out a movement card, which obviously you can't see, the movement cards have a set of arrows on them. Now, it's like Wings of War, for those who've played it. You place the card against the front of your ship, and there are 3 arrows on it, depending on the combination of how strong the wind is and how much sail you've got on the ship. So if the wind's quite calm and you've got normal sail, you use the shortest arrow. If it's calm and you've piled more sail on, or it's normal strength and you've got normal sail, you use the middle arrow. And if the wind's very strong or you've piled all your sail on, you use the longest arrow. And if the wind is very strong and you've piled more sail on, you still use the longest arrow, but you risk damaging your ship.
Right.
Which is fairly clever. Now, each of these arrows has 2 heads. There's an orange head and a green head, and the orange head's about 60% of the way down, and the green heads right at the end. Now, if your ship is let me get the right term. If your ship is reaching, i.e. it's in the wind is on the stern quarter, then your arrow will very likely be in the green, and you will get to go faster than if the wind is beam on or exactly stern on.
Okay.
So basically, this is how you take advantage of the wind. Now also each of the movement cards has a veer number on it. Now remember we said the ship has a veer stat. 5 is straight ahead, and they basically range from the very fastest ships can go all the way from 0 to 10. Something like the Victory has one movement card that will allow that is a fairly sharp turn, which is a 2, and the corresponding one in the other direction, which is a 7. Sorry, 7? No, 8. 8. Now, you may not play 2 consecutive movement cards which differ by more than your veer stat. Now, since the Victory's veer stat is only 4, if I play a sharp turn of a 2, then the next best thing I can do is, with my next move, is a 6, which means I can only turn very slightly back the other way. And if I've taken rudder damage, if I've taken certain categories of damage, that veer number will reduce, so my ship will become less maneuverable.
Right. Okay.
Right, so that's movement. The other thing to note is that the front of your ship is marked with a red border. And that means you're trying to sail into the wind, which, as any good sailor will tell you, is not a very smart move. Now, what happens if you find yourself, when you come to pick up your movement card to play it, that your ship is sailing into the wind, then there are 3 red-bordered movement cards, and you replace your movement card with the red card that corresponds to it. So basically there's one for straight ahead, veer 5, there's one for veer 6+, and there's one for veer 4 and less. And effectively what happens, if you find up sailing into the wind, you'll do a very short move and some measure of turn, depending on which way you were going. If you happen to do this twice on the trot, the second time and subsequent times, instead of going forwards, you actually go backwards because you've lost all steerage way.
Yeah.
So this is what sailors refer to as being in irons, in that you're basically stuck in the wind with no steerage way. Now, it is quite carefully set up such that once you have got the hang of it, it is possible to tack in proper sailing manner, in that if you wish to make progress against the wind, you sail as close to the wind as you can without being red. You turn into the wind, so your movement card gets switched to a red card, but the amount of turn on that red card should be enough that on the next turn you're out of the wind in the other direction again. It's quite hard to explain without seeing it, but having done it, I can attest that it does behave quite realistically when you're sailing into the wind. It's quite clever.
Yeah, because movements under sail, that's always the big thing with any naval game.
Yeah, it is
how you model that.
If they don't get it right, it just destroys it completely. But
yeah,
with this,
and it's really hard to actually try and describe to people who've never done it.
Yeah, but fundamentally, for those who haven't, to sail into the wind, which is completely impossible in a sailing ship, you sail as close as you can to the wind on a zigzag course, and every time you hit, you decide you don't want to go further this way, you turn across the wind and let your momentum carry you round until you're sailing as close as the wind as you can, but with the wind on the opposite side of the ship, and then you just keep zigzagging. And the movement system allows you to do this, which made me very, very happy when I figured it out, because it suggested to me that they actually got their stuff right.
It sounds complicated when you try to explain it, but I imagine that by using the cards and the colours on on the ship.
Were this a video podcast, I'd show you in about 5 minutes.
Yeah,
it really is. It really is quite elegant once you get the hang of it. So effectively, that's movement. There's an interesting set of rules for collisions in that you only take damage, which I'm not sure I agree with. You only take damage if you collide with a friendly ship.
What?
It's an odd rule. I'm not if you collide with an enemy ship, you can grapple them, board them, and they'll die horribly anyway. But there's a certain degree to which I think it's in there to try and penalise bad sailors. I'm not convinced by it, and it's one of the ones that's, a candidate for a house rule. But that's movement, effectively. Movement order is highest burden ships, so biggest ships move first, followed by best attitude to the wind, followed by some form of random determination. It's only actually relevant if your ship's bases are about to collide. Otherwise, it doesn't matter. There are some extra movement cards for if you have lost a mast, which are at which point your ship is much less controllable, which takes us quite nicely onto combat.
Indeed.
So, combat. It's very like Wings. Again, I'm going to compare it to Wings of War a lot. If you played Wings of War, this will be incredibly obvious, and if not, I'll try and summarise it as quickly as I can. There are damage chits. It's effectively like having a damage deck. They're little square cardboard counters. There are 5 different sets depending on what you're firing. A damage is long-range cannon. B damage is short-range cannon. C is chain shot, which is the stuff that basically 2 balls linked by a piece of chain designed to damage rigging. D is grape, canister, that stuff beloved of Napoleonic wargamers everywhere for killing as many men as possible at short range. And E is for crew fire, for musketry. Now, your ship's log, pulling it out of the box again, has a series of boxes. I'll actually break the seal on this. I haven't actually broken the seal on the HMS Victory box yet. So here is a live audio unboxing, folks. If I lay they're these lovely little sort of jigsaw pieces, which they are for all practical purposes. They actually are. The 3 ship's log bits are jigsawed together so that you can place them in a neat line and drop them in the appropriate chunk of the ship's display board. So there's 3 lines of boxes, effectively. Well, there's sort of 2.5. The top one is your firepower, and basically, if you draw a chit, it will most likely have a number on it. You stack numbered chits in the boxes until the total in one box exceeds your ship is equal to or exceeds your ship's burden. So for a frigate, that will be 2 or 3. So if you draw a 1 and a 1 and a 2, that fills that box. So your next counter goes in the next box. So basically, the higher your ship's burden, the more damage you can take before it crosses off a box. And as those boxes go down, your firepower drops. Now, in addition, those counters can have on them special damage, which are things like you've sprung a leak, your rudder's damaged, your steering's damaged, you're on fire, you've lost a mast, your sail damage, etc., etc., etc. Those go in a separate. Those counters, there is a matching little damage chitty you put in a separate place on your ship's log to say this is currently suffering this kind of damage, and some of those will do you continuing damage. For example, if you're on fire, every turn till you put it out, you lose another hull box. So that's that. You can also get crew damage counters, which cost you 1 crew, and that will basically reduce your close range musketry. Right. In addition to that, the worse of your hull damage and your crew damage governs how many crew actions you have. So if you've lost 4 hull on the Victory, for example, you lose 5 hull boxes and 2 crew boxes, then you're down to 3 crew actions. If you lose 5 hull boxes and 8 or 9 crew boxes, you're down to 2 crew actions. So it depends on it's a combination of both your crew damage and your hull damage, whichever is the worst governs how many crew actions you get. So obviously, basically, the more damaged your ship is, the less resources you have left to make it better.
Do you get bonuses for raking shot?
Oh, yes. You do in the optional and standard rules, which is another reason to play them. Yes. You also get, basically, they bow rake, you draw an extra chit for every 3. Stern rake, you draw an extra chit for every 2.
Right.
And also your first shot is bonused for similar reasons, because it's been loaded in the peace and calm rather than in the heat of battle. So it's a better shot. So that's effectively combat. Combat basically reduces your firepower, reduces your musketry, does special damage which you have to devote crew actions to repairing. And that's what, and those are only in the standard rules. They're not in the basic rules, but there are none of the things that make this a slightly more complicated, complex, and thus interesting simulation, because you actually have to start allocating resources.
Yeah.
Now, the other thing, of course, you can do at that point is you can board. And at various points in the turn phase, you can determine whether your ships have grappled, whether you actually want to board or whether you just want to slide on past. And then there's an interesting quirk in the rules here, which again has been slightly open to house rules potentially, in that if your two ships are grappled together, then you alternate drawing from the E damage deck, which is the crew deck, up to your ship's burden. It makes no difference how much crew damage you've taken, which is a little odd, and I'm not entirely convinced by, but I think they possibly just wanted to reduce the number of stats you otherwise had to keep track of.
Okay, that's fairly valid.
It basically does mean that a ship that's almost down to its last legs on crew can still does a ship of the line that's down to its last legs on crew can still do more grappling and close combat damage than a fully active frigate.
I suppose it's the separation of crew duties to Marines.
Yeah, it's kind of is, isn't it? And it's one of those things. You've got to make some compromises to produce a game that doesn't have so many degrees of freedom your head explodes.
Yeah, because I mean, the naval warfare, you didn't really have your crew getting involved in the.
No. Well, sometimes it depends. If you believe Alexander Kent, you did, but.
But normally that's the job of the Marines on board to actually do the fighting.
Absolutely, yeah.
This isn't like sort of piracy stuff.
No, quite. But that's your combat, and then you wrap up your turn with reloading, clearing your fired guns, and resolving those of your repairs which don't resolve in one turn. Some things take 2 repair actions to repair, like fixing a mast, putting out a fire, etc., etc., etc. So you take continuing damage until you finish it, and it's perfectly possible to look at your ship and go, you know what? I'm going to sink before I can fix all that damage anyway, so let's die gloriously.
Right.
So is this a game where the objective is to actually sink the ship, or is it more a case of trying to reduce the crew level so that you can take it as a prize?
There is a degree to which that's kind of, to a degree, open to how you want to play the game, I suspect. If you're just playing a one-off, then at the point where the ship has ceased to have any crew actions, stroke, can't fire, has run out of hull points, then it's up to you to decide whether you want to call it sunk or captured or whatever. But if I were playing a campaign game, there are ways of saying, look, this was captured by boarding, therefore it's a prize. This was sunk by gunfire. And, you can make judgment calls on that. There is no campaign system per se provided by Ares. There is, as ever, from the brilliant folks on Sails of Glory Anchorage, lots of thoughts and suggestions for solitaire campaigns, full-on campaigns. It does quite lend itself to solitaire play. There are some people who come up with some quite clever rules for doing solitaire, which is quite nice. But it's if you like, it's a ship management. If you play it properly with the full rules and all the optional rules, it's a ship management war game.
Which is not a bad thing.
Which is not a bad thing at all.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds like there's a really good community.
There is.
Out there.
Shout out to the Sails of Glory Anchorage folks, who I have advertised this podcast on. They do some fantastic stuff. The quick reference sheet that we all play off at the club is from one of the regulars on the forum, and I couldn't play. We couldn't. It would be possible to play the game without it, but it wouldn't be as much fun. It would involve a lot more swearing and looking at the rules for the first few. It's a lot easier to teach with it, basically. We've probably got about 10 or a dozen people around the club who've played it now. And most of them, I think, have pretty much said by their second or third game, they've got to the point. If it's like, a lot of games, if you don't play it regularly, some of the things that you've remembered, you forget. But if you play it regularly, then you get to the point where you pretty much don't need the quick reference sheet, except for those odd cases when you think, hang on, I've forgotten how to do this particular obscure thing that doesn't happen very often. And it does, pretty much. The mechanisms do that nice thing and sort of fall away and let you get on with playing the game.
Do you think that this is a set of rules that has been picked up by the sort of Napoleonic Naval players as the sort of de facto set of rules? Or as a good introductory?
I'd have to say no, actually. I pick up a slight vibe. I may be entirely wrong here, and dear listeners, do feel free to write in and tell me. So I pick up a slight vibe that some of the more serious Napoleonic war gamers look on it as a bit of a toy.
Well, to be fair, given exactly the same way as Wings of War, Wings of Glory.
Yeah.
I mean, that was.
It's not Bag the Hunt. This
indeed,
and this is
Check Your Six or anything
this
like that.
Kiss Me Hardy.
The games themselves originally are actually aimed at a board game community.
Yeah.
So actually, they are, for want of a better phrase, simplified. So they're not meant to be sailing simulation. And from that side of things, I think they're designed to be a game as opposed to a simulation. Obviously,
and I think that's very telling. It's very telling that there's a basic and a standard set of rules from that point of view.
Yeah.
Yes.
And it's also very telling that the wargamer in me went, screw that, let's play the standard with all the optionals.
Of course.
Indeed.
Yeah.
And that's what I've taught people. I don't think I've never even looked at. I had to actually read quite carefully for the purposes of this review to get an idea of what was in the basic and what's in the standard.
Okay.
But as a game where you're introducing somebody to Napoleonic Naval wargaming, is it the one to go for?
I've had no complaints, which is probably the best thing I can say.
And I think that's the thing, because I mean, let's be honest, it's a bit of naval wargaming is a bit of a niche thing anyway, and it can get very, very in depth.
It can. As an introduction, it's also from a club point of view, it has the advantage that it doesn't require any investment from anybody else. Carl or I, both of whom have reasonable sized Sales of Glory collections, just shove the really useful boxes in the back of the car, turn up and say, we're running Sales of Glory this week, who wants to play?
And that is the other thing is...
And that's brilliant as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah. And because you can buy the box set with painted figures and ready to go.
Yeah.
It's a straight out of the box, which, again, you don't see in this style of wargaming.
No.
Normally, it's a case of you buy
and I can understand that. I'm not having a go here if any of our listeners would like to label themselves as serious Napoleonic war games. I'm not having a go, but I possibly pick up the vibe that because they're pre-paints, because they're not always, I suspect, historically perfect, because they're not, there are better models out there. They might get both the rules and the ships might get looked down at a little, but that shouldn't put people off. If you want a good, fun Napoleonic Naval war game that you can pick up on a club evening and play without needing massive amounts of table real estate, although I would love to have a crack at this on something like a 10 by 6 or a 12 by 6 with a few ships and a lot of people. It's great. It does the job.
How long does a game normally last? As a sort of standard game? Couple
hour
of
and a half.
ships. Hour and a half.
Hour and a half.
Yeah, that's not bad.
We usually set up starting by before 8 at the club, and typically finishes about 9:30.
Yeah.
And that's with 3 or 4 ships aside. I mean, the nice thing, because it's fundamentally simultaneous, particularly if you're giving everybody 1 or 2 ships to captain, then it doesn't go massively more complicated as you start putting more forces on the table, because you typically have more people to captain them. And it's designed that all the movement and stuff happens simultaneously. You only get a bit of a multiple interactions problem when you potentially have multiple ships firing on one ship, for example.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds to me as if they've nailed the key thing with naval wargaming, which is movement. Because I've seen people in my old club playing naval games, and they're there with protractors and massive charts, sitting there trying to work out what they can do. And they're there for hours and hours.
I'm sure that some of them will say that this is not perfect, but hell.
Oh, they will do, because I'm going to upset people here and say, because they're Napoleonic wargamers, and Napoleonic wargamers are bad enough when it comes to land-based stuff. When it comes to they're a whole nother class of people.
But that's Mike Hobbs at meeplesandminiatures.co.uk.
Yeah, but
hey, how come he's got an at meeplesandminiatures.co.uk email address? I don't.
I haven't.
Well,
it goes nowhere.
Well, this way, he hasn't either at the moment. But I'm feeling after that comment.
You might well need one.
Create one. Yeah.
To be fair, yeah.
If the 5 people who might be listening to this who are very serious Napoleonic wargamers, Napoleon naval wargamers, want to have a go at me, go for it. But I've seen people there a whole weekend trying to do a game with protractors, and they're getting nowhere. And I just think, well, if that's the thing you're into and you enjoy it and you've had a good laugh, then great. But they don't seem to have a good laugh. They just seem to be taking things very, very seriously and having a go at people who don't get what they're trying to do.
Yeah, and this is a brilliant gateway drug to Napoleonic naval wargaming, for want of a better phrase. If you want to get people, I've got people begging me to run a campaign. So we're going to run basically a narrative campaign towards the latter half of this year. Probably, I'm not quite sure how we're going to do it yet. Hopefully Wave 3 will be out, which contains a few more Spanish ships. So we'll at least have Spanish, British, and French. I may actually just buy a few more ships and equip them to be pirates.
So other than Spanish, French, and Brits, so there's no American ships?
There is the USS Constitution, which is a completely different sculpt to everything else because it's such a weird-looking ship. Because the Constitution just isn't like anything else of that era. And one of the smaller sloops, I think it is liveried up as an American. The Thorn and the USS Atlanta, which are a captured 14-gun Swan class, have an American sail under American flag. I don't know precisely what's planned for Wave 3. Lots of rumour, and I suspect if I were to go digging on Sales of Glory, I could probably find the current definitive answer, but certainly more Spanish. There's rumours that Wave 4 was possibly going to include merchantmen and pirates, but I wouldn't hold my breath for that turning up.
I mean, from what you've said and the way you've described it, the thing that jumps out at me is this would be perfect game for doing stuff around the North American coast in 1812. The War of 1812, or on the Great Lakes.
Or you could hand wave a little, and there's the Caribbean.
Yeah, exactly. So
the islands islands in Southeast Asia.
Yeah, there's lots of ways you can go.
Lots of ways you can do with this for a campaign if you wanted to, and we will.
Yeah, and I gotta say, it doesn't jump out to me as a game where you're going to be doing Trafalgar or one of the big, Napoleonic battles.
People tried.
Yeah.
But you say tried. I mean,
I think my real problem with it is doing something like Trafalgar. It's not, it's like playing a battalion level game in Chain of Command.
Yeah, exactly. It's not based for that.
You could, but that's really not what God intended it for.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But doing little privateer action.
Oh, hell yeah.
This sounds perfect.
This is you are indeed capturing the words of Dave and Carl and many other people down the club who fundamentally said, let's have a 4 players aside, 3 or 4 faction narrative campaign where there's sort of, out of in character and role playing actions happening between each turn that govern, as the campaign GM can say, and there will be a French convoy sailing from here to here. Anybody interested in raiding it? Kind of thing.
Yeah, I mean, I
sit there and read through Alexander Kent's novels and rewrite the scenarios because Blythe is such a frigging hero that they're so unbalanced that you'd lose every time if you tried to do them in Sales of Glory. But
yeah, but I mean, we're getting back to good old War of 1812, which, as anybody knows me will know, is one of my favourite campaigns ever. It would fit in that, doing stuff on the Great Lakes with the shore batteries and, some of the sieges that were going on in that period, and bringing in the shore-based units into a bigger campaign. This sounds like a great tool to use in a big campaign where you're playing land-based battles and sea-based battles and looking at the sort of logistic flow. It sounds perfect for that.
And of course, if you're really insane and you actually have any 2 mil Napoleonics, you can do it all in the same scale.
Yeah, and 2 mil Napoleonics are nice and easy because it's just some little grains of sand, really, on a little base.
Grains of sand with some white at the bottoms and red at the top and some pink above that.
Although, if you are doing War of 1812, you probably need one base, and that'll do the entire British contingent over there.
Yeah, right. But yes, there is potential here. It's a good, as I said, it's a good gateway drug to Napoleonic ship-based combat. It's possibly not for the purists, but if you want a really nice pickup game with a bit of complexity and some nice resource management problems for your club, can't go far wrong.
Yeah, that's it.
Okay, so what's the availability like? Because I seem to get the impression that, because obviously it came on Kickstarter and was popular, especially in the States, because obviously in the States, but I know, because I looked at it when it came on Kickstarter, and one of the issues with that was the fact that actually shipping outside of the States was, what's the phrase, a bit prohibitive.
Problematic.
So, I was thinking prohibitively expensive, but there you go as well. It's a standard issue with the US Kickstarters, but it did seem to be more expensive than some. So, bottom line is, what's the availability like now?
Wayland have the starter set and quite a few of the ships. At least they have it listed. Starter set is £55. They have individual.
That's a good deal because it wasn't £80 when it came out.
Four ships, complete set of rules, all the support material. They have most of the British ships, which look to be to a degree available to order rather than in stock, but they're all around the £10 to £15 mark. I have personally found that the best place to go is actually eBay. There are a number of people who have stock who are selling it on eBay. If you go to eBay and Google and search for Sales of Glory, you will find that quite a few suppliers have got quite a bit in stock.
Oddly, it's not for sale on Ares' website.
No, they've got some stock, but not a lot. They're out of stock on some of the accessories. Particularly, they're out of stock on the very nice bags they do for the chits, which I managed to snaffle some while they were available, and they're very nice. But if you look on eBay, you will find that there's quite a few people doing ships around the buy it now prices from £12 to £20, depending. Starter sets for anything from £50 plus. Most of the ships are available. I suspect that. I mean, if you look, you probably might find that if you're familiar with, I'm sure I recognize Nannyog 999 as a well-known wargame trader, as an eBay seller, but I can't remember exactly who it is because I've bought off them enough times.
Yeah, of course. The other thing, because it's official again, it's like Wings of Glory. Officially, actually, this is a board game.
Of course, it is.
So, so if you can't find it at your war games retailer or whatever, you can actually look at your friendly local board game store or your online board game seller, and lots of people. Well, I found a few people already that have some.
Yeah.
I mean, one of the reasons I was asking about availability was I have heard it kind of came out, and excuse me for want of a better phrase, sunk a little bit.
Oh, see what you did there.
Yes, yeah. So I seem to get the impression that on several board game sites, it very quickly went into the bargain bin.
If you pass by a certain well-known book and box shifter who is at nearly all wargame shows, you will notice they have a few, and they're in a really quite tatty state. Very much bargain bin. Dice Shop Online did a sale on their whole stock about the point when I got into the game, and I picked up quite a bit of stuff off them. And they don't stock it anymore, but you can find it. There is really there's starter sets to be had from quite a few people. There are, if you trawl eBay, there are a number of people who basically have their storefronts on eBay who have between them pretty much all the ships.
Okay, so it's still relatively easy. Well, certainly like the starter set. I I just found like sort of.
Actually,
like
to be fair, if memory serves, if you want to put your money to some jolly nice folks, the Sales of Glory Anchorage folks have a shop.
Oh, that's good. I mean, it does sound good if you can get the starter set for 50 odd quid, 50, 55 quid, and as you say, that will do you to start off with.
Yeah,
a good few games. That's a bargain, especially if you've got any interest in this sort of naval warfare, but have been too scared to get into it because you don't know what attack is, or anything like that. Then it does sound like a good introduction.
Mm-hmm. Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, and when you consider price wise, some people go, well, hang on a second, you're paying that amount of money for a pre-painted plastic model.
Yeah.
At the same time, it's like, well, that's no different from what you're paying for an X-wing model, and they're a bit bigger than X-wing models, and stuff like that. It's all the extra bits and pieces that come with it, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Especially when you're saying, all the you got things like the maneuver cards and everything, which are very ship specific and all that sort of stuff.
They are completely ship specific. If you compare, for example, the Victories deck, which could be generously described as slow and lumbering, to HMS Swan, which is I've tried taking on HMS Swan. It's like trying to swat a bloody fly. It really moves like mad.
All right, so one thing we haven't covered. So when you buy a new ship,
yes,
and they're about 15 quid.
Yes.
Right, what do you get?
You get the ship model.
Mm-hmm.
Let's work through this systematically. You get the ship model. You get the 3-part. I'm not going to try and pull it out because it seems to be well wedged. The 3-part base, which consists of a blue base with a hole into which the ship pegs, a transparent cover, and a piece of 2-sided card for the 2 different incarnations of the ship that gets pinned between the 2 by the ship.
Right.
Oh, okay.
So you get that. That's the ship itself, which, as I said, is very nicely pre-painted, but will lend itself if you feel like it. You get a deck of movement cards, which typically consists of about 25 or so ordinary movement cards, the 3 in the wind cards, and about half a dozen I have a damaged mast cards.
Right, okay, and are these plasticized? What sort of size are they?
They are same size as the ship base, I think. So they're 3 by 2 for all practical purposes.
Standard size.
Oh, well, yeah, but as I say, basically, you end up in a situation of kind of going, right, okay, what you've got is 25 custom cards.
Yeah. 35 by the time you count the tack, the caught in the wind, and I have lost a master cards.
Yeah, which we all know just how expensive printing.
And they're glossy. That, to be strictly accurate, there are A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I. There are 9 different card decks. They're actually lettered on the back.
Right. Which
matches the 9 different classes. There are effectively subtle variants between each one, and then each ship has a 2-sided card which lists its burden, its rate, its veer, the number of guns, and the number of crew, which are actually duplicated on the larger ship's log, the counter track. So in some ways it's a redundant card, but it is quite pretty and sometimes it's the... it usefully contains a picture of the ship. So when you've just bought 13 ships off eBay, and the guy has packed the card decks together, and the ships together, being able to match up the ships and the cards by the pictures on them is actually really quite useful.
Yes.
And then you get the counter track, the ship's log, which is in either three. They're all the same length. Some of them are in 3 pieces, some of them are in 4 pieces, for some reason. But they're fundamentally the same because they've all got to fit in the same standard size hole in the ship's mat that comes with the starter set. You can get additional ship's mats, the frames for the ship's logs, if you need to.
Right, I was going to ask
useful. I fundamentally happen to own 2 starter sets, so I don't have that problem. Carl from the club doesn't, so he bought an extra set of ship's mats. So I've also got 2 sets of counters, which is quite useful when you're running larger battles.
Yes, and you can actually buy counters separately.
You can buy counters separately as well. They also do a separate pack of islands and shoals if you don't want to use 3D scenery. They do a separate pack of shore batteries, which come with their own stats, and fundamentally, so it'll be they have a set of firing arcs with a power value for each direction and a damage track, and they behave pretty much like ships, except they don't move. So they're quite nice if you want to set up one of these, a sort of a Bolitho-style cutting-out expedition kind of scenario or something. So,
it does sound pretty good.
I'm going to say, the thing it does is that very quickly, once you've got a couple of ships on the table and start looking at the potential of the game, it fires the imagination. And it's got people down the club saying, why don't we run a campaign? Let's do more with this because it's fun. And there are couple of people down the club who are pretty much, it's the only game they turn up for, which is quite surprising. And I love it.
Yeah, it does sound good. Oh, I'm going to ask the question that I know Neil is really dying to ask. Why is the base so thick? You say it's like 1/4 inch thick base.
I don't know. I think they...
It's because it's a piece of concrete.
Yeah, it's a piece of concrete. It's a piece of concrete. It's a piece of non-floating concrete. I don't know. It just is. There are alternatives. Some people have rebased their ships using laser cut plastic and other things. The other thing that is out there, which is quite fun, is that people have started producing custom bases for other ships. So there are people who've been making merchantmen or sloops or, the big mortar carrier things that the Royal Navy used in the Napoleonic Wars. Basically, the big ship, you basically take a sloop, gut it, and put a massive, great fortification-busting mortar firing forward.
Oh, the ones that used to sink themselves.
Yeah.
Yes, boom.
So there's quite, again, it's the Sails of Glory Anchorage folk being their wonderful selves. They're basically, there's all kinds of things on there. If you want to, they're running a once-a-month solo campaign where you basically, there's a forum thread where somebody posts up a scenario, everybody goes away and plays it, submits their battle reports, and other fun things like that. It's great. It's a really nice community. They're really friendly people. Shout out to them all, in fact, as I'm not as regular on there as I'd like to be, and I'm sure that we could have dragged one of them on here to do the review considerably more justice than I have. But I really like the game. The community's brilliant.
The community does sound good.
The community's great. There are some really, really... The download section is 6 pages long with all manner of nice things. And people really do seem to put a lot of effort into it. The fact that people are prepared to put that amount of love and effort into it is always a good sign. I mean, the quick reference sheet that I'm using, somebody has basically formatted it to look like it belongs as 2 pages of the rules. In terms of graphic design, colour, backgrounds, fonts, the works. You don't do that for a game you don't love.
No.
Oh, indeed.
Yeah, it sounds good. I must admit, I looked at it when it came out, and I was really, really tempted.
Me too.
I do like a bit of naval wargaming.
The reason I'm mostly gutted is I really want the 4 Kickstarter special ships. I know they're only repaints of ships you can get some other way, but my inner completist, you know.
Yeah.
Yes. That voice in the back saying, "You must go and search these out."
Well,
what do you mean to say they're X amount of pounds? I don't care.
They're silly money. Now, one of the things that comes with HMS Victory, and I believe with the USS Constitution, are some captain and crew cards, which you can basically use with the ship. They give things like evasive maneuver. You get chances to undo one lot of crew damage under certain special circumstances or things like that. Now, there was a deck of these that also came out in the Kickstarter, which I have managed to score, which will make campaign gaming much more fun. They actually, I think, have published some of that information on the website, but if you actually want them as physical cards, you've got to try and find someone who's willing to sell you them from their Kickstarter at the moment. Somebody was clearly speculating, and the set I got from a very nice chap in Australia was still in their shrink wrap.
Yeah, so excellent.
Good stuff.
Yeah,
good stuff. Thank you, Mike.
You're welcome.
It does sound interesting.
I've heard that tone of voice before.
That's the tone of voice that says, "Where can I get a starter set from?"
Well, there are a few guys on the club who have got starter sets, so I might have a chat with them and get them to do me a demo of it.
Oh yeah, do. By all means, do.
Watch this space.
I'm not being rash this year. Remember, I've said it. It's one of my resolutions.
You're not being rash.
Yeah.
We believe you.
Yeah.
Thousands wouldn't.
You're good guys, you are. You're good guys.
Yeah, we try.
Right. Well, there we have it. Sales of Glory.
Mike's Game of the Year.
What can we say? Mike's Game of the Year.
Am I allowed to say that now?
Assuming that Neil gets his editing done in the right order, yes.
Yeah.
I would sum up by saying that it fits my 2 criteria for a good war game in that it doesn't set off alarm bells for bits of failed realism that annoy me, and it's a barrel of fun.
Which is always a bonus.
I'd go so far as to say it's a necessity.
Well, not according to Mr. Hobbs earlier in the review, but yes.
I just said there's a certain.
We were passing quickly on.
There's a certain variety of naval wargamers who can be a little bit anally retentive,
and probably have great fun doing so. And who am I to criticise them?
Exactly. I will know because I'm that sort of person. Go on, Neil.
Anyway.
Take us to the bridge, mate. Take us to the bridge.
Take us to the bridge. Yeah. Okay. Yes.
I just love to call controversy.
We have noticed.
Yes.
On that note, I think we should bring this thing into land.
We have to bring it back into port. Let's keep this naval theme going.
Oh, sorry. Yes. What was that starboard? Boom. That really wasn't that funny.
No, edit that one out, please.
At this point, we will go hard a starboard and sail off into the sunset in the best possible fashion. I hope you've found that review interesting and useful. I suppose at this point we also have the caveat of, and I hope we don't cost you too much money. As it did appear that last year I'm not quite sure exactly whether this podcast should come with a health warning at times or not.
No, a wealth warning.
Oh, well, yeah. I'll see what you did there as well.
Very clever, you know.
Yeah.
I dread to think how much you've cost me.
I dread to think how much I cost me.
Well, considering that the post-Christmas purchase of I Ain't Been on Shot Mum 3 just after you'd reviewed it, cost me an awful lot of money in 15mm figures.
I went.
Yeah, but you can't blame us for Sales of Glory because you did it all on your own. And now you're spreading the love.
Well, it's just, getting your own back.
It was like, yeah. I mean, the thing that still makes me smile is kind of go, oh yeah, it's a great game for like 2 or 3 ships aside sort of thing. And I just think back to that picture you tweeted, said, oh well, you didn't say it was on your blog, saying there's my Sales of Glory collection. It was like, how many ships?
25.
Yeah, but you need 2 or 3.
I haven't bought any more since.
Yeah, but it's good to have a choice of those 2 or 3.
Absolutely.
It's good to have a choice of those 2 or 3. Indeed. Yeah, yes. Oh, there we go. So, I think that about wraps it up for this episode. So, apologise in hindsight if this show has been a little bit late. I was a week late publishing the end of the year show, which I will shamelessly blame on Mr. Hyde or maybe it's just actually blamed on my bad planning because I hadn't written my article for Miniature Wargames until he kind of reminded me and went, oh, by the way, yeah, you only got not very long to write it in.
Shame.
So that's yeah, I know. Yeah, so that's why the end of the year show was a bit late. This one maybe. So apologies if this one has been slightly delayed.
In Neil's defence, I should also add that the other reason that the show is late is that we had to edit it because Skype was having kittens that night.
Yeah. So the whole intention was it wasn't meant to be edited at all, and it was an interesting evening.
Wasn't it just?
Well, I suppose it's one of these things of trying to use Skype at the end of the year when the whole world and his dog are talking to each other from either side of the planet. So that was probably our fault. A bad choice of time to do it. But there you go. Anyway, so thank you for listening to the show. As I say, hope you found it useful. Until next time, some say thank you to Mike Hobbs.
No problem. Thank you.
Thank you especially to Mr. Whitaker.
You're very welcome.
Thanks, guys, and we shall no doubt meet up again in a couple of weeks, and we'll crank out the next one. So next show is due out at the beginning of February. So until next time, happy gaming, and we'll speak to you soon.
Bye.
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 Thank you for listening to the Meeples and Miniatures podcast. If you want to know more about Meeples and Miniatures, there are several things you can do. First of all, you can visit the website at www.meeplesandminiatures.co.uk. If you want to contact the show at all, you can email me at neil@meeplesandminiatures.co.uk. You can follow the show on Twitter. Simply look for M&M Podcast or click the follow us on Twitter button from the website. We also have a group on Facebook. That's the Meeples and Miniatures Podcast Fan Club. Again, follow the link from the website. And finally, if you want to help us to support the show, you can always donate to the podcast by clicking the PayPal button on the donate page, again found on the website. Once again, thank you for listening. I hope you've really enjoyed the show. Take care, and I'll speak to you soon.